yesterday evening, we started to share, no, this topic of how to build up a cooperative for visual artists, and the reason why I am here is because in my history we worked a lot, mainly in Europe and in Italy, regarding the situation, the working condition of the artist, and how to empower their rights, and how to self-organize organizations that are able to deal with this problem. Because as individual is difficult, almost impossible, but infrastructuring organization is a way to instituting an alternative. Okay? So in the program we have today two sections, one in the morning and one in the early afternoon. I would start with a bit of storytelling, putting on the table some trajectories and also some keywords or concepts that we have been working with. And in the afternoon, or in the second part, I prepared like a screening of some practical example we did, I've been part of. I don't know in terms of time if we will really respect the two sessions. I would like to ask you if it's okay for you if I start, and maybe if we go longer, or if this first session is less important, maybe it's better also in the morning to start with the second. We will see. Okay.
Is the mic on?
Yeah. Do you listen to the mic?
It seems as it's not, but if it's on, then
yeah.
Okay.
And
sorry.
What about the Q&A? Maybe I do like a block and then I stop and I invite you quite often to intervene, not really keeping a Q&A only in the end, if you are okay. Okay. So basically, starting from me, that maybe it's a useful method. I'm basically, my background is in philosophy and performing art. I studied more during the 90s. It's important to frame the historical period because what I am storytelling to you is very connected also with what was going on. And in the end of the 90s, I started to work in performing art. Quite soon, we had important company in Italy that were known also slowly internationally, and in the end of the 2010 decade, 2010, I stopped doing that project. Also because of my take on the condition of labor in the arts. And I move in other direction. Meanwhile, in between 2000 and 2010, in Italy and in Milan, where I was based and I am based also right now, I was an activist in different movements related to the condition of labor. For example, we were remembering with Vaida yesterday walking that we were launching in the late 90s and early 2000 this platform of San Precario or chain workers that was like in the legacy of operaism from the 70s in Italy, was trying to understand this new condition of precarious workers, of precarity, no more connected with factory line or stable position, no? And what we can do as a political subject in this actual condition, no? This new frame, this new paradigm. And already in that period we were launching activist operation in between the traditional trade union attitude and this more media tactics. So operating in the new environment we are also right now inhabiting, that is more immaterial, that is more connected with communication, infosphere, digital. And for example, we launched this figure of San Precario that we were sharing yesterday. San Precario is a fictional figure as the hero for the precarious workers. It's a saint because we were in Italy and we were trying to subvertise this popular imaginary. And with San Precario and, for example, another figure, Serpicanaro, in which a collective invented a real fiction figure in order to hijack the Fashion Week. And we obtained to have a red carpet in the official Fashion Week, pretending to be this Far East figure, Serpicanaro. And in the end, the catwalk was like a protest with clothes stating workers' rights, in the creative industries. So I grew up in this like cultural and activist environment in which using art to do activism and developing new forms of unions or workers' protest was for me very interesting. In the same decade, 2000-2010, we also, I was participating and belonging to another art and activist collective in Milan called Isola Art Center. Isola Art Center was establishing a fictional a museum in a squat in the very center of the city in order to oppose a big master plan of the first wave of the strong and aggressive gentrification move in the city. And we used art and also international important artworks installed in this squat in order to protect as a collection the building, trying to use the artworks to avoid the eviction that was predictable in order to start the construction building for a super big skyscraper. And we lost. We lost because we had the eviction, and now Garibaldi Repubblica in the very center of the city is one of the most ultra-luxury block. In that block there was also my house, my apartment, and it was probably the mecca of the squats in Italy, because in a unique neighborhood in the 90s we had like 9/11 squats in only one block. And this was the block also of the Museum of Isola Art Center. But it was really like little cities of as an autonomous zone. And we have been all evicted in 5 years. And now that neighborhood, Isola, is really like the post-gentrification model, with this bohemian legacy from the squats period, full of coffee bars, with this new middle upper class that want to be comfortable but close to the skyscraper, and so on. So for this reason I escaped to Berlin for 5 or 6 years, and coming back to Milan after the 2008 and 9 with the financial crisis and the Occupy Wall Street movement, watching to what was going on in Europe. For example, in France there was a movement of art workers, cultural workers called intermittenti francesi, intermittent French intermittents, that were working in the same trajectory within the movement of Quince in Spain, Indignados, in the post-Occupy Wall Street. We were very connected with also the cultural sector and the art sector in the square as part of that movement. And so I was coming back from Berlin to Italy, and in some apartments in Milan, we started to understand what we can do as artists, in that moment. And because I was fitting with this big experimental theater successful company, I was a founder. And why I quit? I quit because my perception was to be very self-referential. Watch out, I was in the position of the successful artist, but my perception was really like a joke to have so much long queue of young artists, performing artists, doing this audizioni, how do you call it? Audition.
Audience.
Oh,
Ja mislite na audiciju ili na...
Audicija.
Audition.
Or giving workshop in which everyone was ready to pay in order to understand and learn, maybe be accepted in the core team of the company. Having in the audience not a popular audience, but really like a selected audience, mainly the other company or artist watching to your work, no? And so this feeling to reproduce precarization, no? Having the economical sheet in your hands in order to understand that there was no future for a larger community, except to maybe you for free on top, no? And also surviving, not being so much. With this feeling that mainly everyone in the programs were dealing with political issue in terms of content in your performance, but being so self-referential, no? Not activating anything starting from your artwork. It was for me very frustrating. I don't know if it's important to share this, but for me it was a quite intense feeling. And so that's why, for example, with Maddalena Fragnito, another artist, we started to do some art intervention that was more connected with the field of contemporary art, because in that moment for me it was more like interdisciplinary, not so much coded, no? It was quite open. It was easier in that moment. Now is different, but in that moment it was easier to mix, no? Like research, showing documents, creating a stage, not stage, in which performing art, sociology, design, no, was mixed. And so for this reason we did some intervention in contemporary art field. It was like 2010. For example, in the Venice Biennale, for example, in other cities, in galleries and so on. Directly researching in what was the condition, the perception of the condition of the art as a work, no? Or what was the economical condition of the artist in that period. And so we started, for example, to enter in the Venice Biennale program, opening a radio station, interviewing artists on this topic, and then relaunching these messages, no? And so for us, the condition of the art market and the labor market in the arts started to be an artwork. It was a bit conceptual, but it was working. It was working because the threshold between activate, no, and mobilize the artist as a political subject, no, was very the threshold was very small, no? In a way you were perceived as an artwork, and in the other moment it was very easy to step in an assembly, okay, as a political space. And I can show you, just to have in your eyes some moments of that period, because, for example, this is This was me and Maddalena. And this was a solo exhibition that we did in that period, showing the result of this research and installments, sculpture, diagrams regarding this topic. And in the end of this solo exhibition in Milan, we launched, speaking, having the temperature of the community around us, we launched an assembly with curator, other artists, this was the assembly, and we stayed like today, an entire day, in order to understand what to do politically speaking. And in that assembly, we decided to launch a new group that was, let's say, lavoratori dell'arte, art workers on the national base in Italy. And yeah, this was the exhibition. Very bad photo. Sorry, I'm opening like archives. And after this, we started the Lavoratori dell'Arte assemblies, and every week we were used to have a meeting in different places with no space, discussing what we can do in terms of self-organization and activism, direct actions. And in that moment, we were like developing also this concept of common goods, or in Italy, beni comuni. And in this discussion, we were 2011, we were like trying to understand how to use this concept of the common, of commonwealth, of common, the process of commoning, as a political tool. Against what? Against mainly two political dynamic that we were in a way suffering. One was the cut of the public funding in the cultural sector. Remember, 2010 was just after the big wave on Europe of the financial crisis. And so for us, in terms of national policies, it was super evident in under many points of view that the public domain was not supporting us economically speaking. And it was very perceivable because, for example, all the museums, all the big theaters were doing only commercial exhibition, renting the space to big corporation, or they were closing, selling the real estate asset of the building to the privates, like turning a big theater in a supermarket, or they were resisting basically paying the wages only of the staff, administrative and the technician, the heating system, but not having any money to support the art production that represented our block. No? So the landscape in that moment was a big public institution, empty, turning in supermarket, or showing exhibition of corporation, renting the space. On the other side, after the 2000, 2010, you have to think about that it was also the moment of the rising of the creative industries phenomenon. Before there wasn't, okay? So my generation, I'm from 1975, the ones that around 2000 were like in the very beginning of the career, 25 years old, 30 years old. My generation was the one that like assisted to the board, the initial phenomenon of the creative industries, trying to understand if it was a good thing or not. No, there was no heritage on it, and for this reason, in these assemblies, for us has been also a moment in order to share what was going on, starting from us, passing the mic like no smoke anonymous assembly, confessing for the first time that I am exploited. It's not so good. Everything is advertised as a new opportunity, but probably it's not so good. I am very bad paid. I have to change 5 jobs in a while. What does it mean to be a contemporary artist or visual artist or performing artist or a graphic design or a video maker or a waiter or a writer or a text editor, because we are all of them in the meantime. In this precarious labor market, we started to confess each other that even if in my CV I want to put on top what I would like to be, a contemporary artist or a performer or a curator, in real, economically speaking, we are all of these figures in one body. And this was super self-evident, because in this change in between Fordism and post-Fordism, this reorganization of the labor market was like creating this working condition, precarious working condition, as a multitasking figure, okay? And so that's why we were Art Workers Coalition in Italy in that moment, but in these assemblies they started to step in all these figures, okay? There was not like a so much understandable division of category, and also in the strategy to be hired. We discovered in that moment, and probably also nowadays the same, that each one of us has in your laptop multiple CV, depending on where you want to apply, no? And so we were discussing about this dynamic, no? That was not understandable, maybe staying at home or being an individual. This way to pass the mic for us was also a sort of self-inquiry. Okay, self-inquiry. And this is another concept that I would like to fix and to give you. This concept is also coming from the 70s, because this workerism operaismo, this worker movement in Italy that is connected with figures that nowadays maybe you know, like Tony Negri, Mario Tronti, Sergio Bologna, and so on, in Italy, invented in the 70s this concept of co-research, co-ricerca. And the idea as a concept was that there's no division in between the academy studying the worker condition and the knowledge embedded in the workers. Okay? And we can only produce knowledge fighting with the workers. And in order to understand what is going on, we have to stay within the knowledge production in the workers' mobilization. Okay? And so also, this was a concept discussed here, because what we are doing, passing the mic and understanding our situation, meantime understanding how to fight, starting from this exploitation. No? This is a moment of co-research, of collective knowledge production within the workers in order to understand how to fight. Okay? And also this is very important because, for example, I'm sometimes or half the time I'm in academics, no? Being professor, researcher, and so on. And a lot of time you see the difference in between a non-activist researcher from sociology, from art, studying in politics. What's the language? No? What's the text? What's the feeling of the paper? No? Compared to the knowledge production situated in a process of fighting, of self-organization, of activation. Okay, it's totally different, the feeling and also the content. So, just to repeat, sorry, I am quite ritual in order to meiotically going through this sort of discourse. First concept, the common. Okay. Second concept, this co-research, this tool of inquiring without your ideological pretext, without knowing before, but listening, situated, not from outside like an anthropologist, an anthropologist looking for strange things in the world, but situated within the political body. Okay? Situated within the political body for fighting and producing knowledge and self-organize. I forgot that also in theory, referring to Negri and Hard, for example, with this famous text that came out in our political community in the end of the 90s and beginning of the 2000s, like empire, multitude, commonwealth, and so on. So this concept of common, this concept of common was exactly, in theory, an alternative to the state and to the market. That's why also in this assembly I was watching that there was the same declination, no? I already told you. A political subject as workers find an alternative to the cut and the crisis and the weakness of the public domain and the exploitation of the creative industries. The scheme was exactly the same. So the common as an alternative to the state, an autonomous, independent alternative to the state and the market. This doesn't mean that we were against the concept of the state or against the concept of a market economical zone, but that we have to create an alternative, a third space, in order to be autonomous and independent, in order to fight against and within the state and the market. Also, these are slogans coming from the Italian political tradition, to stay against and within the state and the market. So it's always a battleground in order to save and root yourself in an autonomous political subject that is able to fight, not depending, not conditioned, no, in the disruptive action, in the negotiation, no, to stay much more as possible independent and autonomous in order to be able to stay within a negotiation, within a fight in the state and public domain and the market. So, common that embed all these concepts and strategies, and co-research, not having an already existing idea, but produce the idea, produce the knowledge within the political body of the workers. Okay? So listening, starting from your emotion, practical needs, fears, and how to collectivize these feelings, turning the complaints in a political action. This moment, instead, many trade unions or top-down ideologies already knows what's your suffering, already knows what's the solution, already knows what you have to fight for. No? This strategy, this methodology is exactly the opposite. Before listening, before trying to understand, because everything is changing, because of that an old recipe is not maybe updated, is not maybe actual, no? And probably through this new knowledge production we can invent something not predictable. And this was also very connected with the art field, because the power of see the invisible to imagine something else is possible if you don't already know what's the solution. And what is visible and what is invisible is a political field. We are used to see only what is seeable. Okay? That in labor is time spending, task, number of artworks, maybe competition. The kingdom of what is seeable is a political ground. Okay? And so, in order to open up alternative concept, the freedom to envision new tactics, it's also a political, is also connected with the political power to imagine something else, to desire something else. And our body is a territory in which we embed already existing desire. Okay? This is Foucault, for example. We were speaking yesterday with Noah. Foucault, for example, said this concept in a way super powerful. Our body is embodying what we can do and what we can't. It's the place in which we train what we can see and what we can't, what we can desire and what we can't. And so there is a normativity that is coding what is seeable in your body, what is desirable, because there is a power that don't want let you desire an alternative. Okay? And so even if we feel free, we are not. We are not if we don't train our body in different temporalities, in different spaces, in different way to manage your daily life. If I train myself as an individual, staying in my apartment and going in the office and competing to my neighbor, my desire, not only what I decide, but my desire, my eyes, start to train to see only some things, some details, some strategies, some vision. In order to dismantle this desire, I have to train. It's not enough to decide. I have to train myself in another space, in another temporality, doing different things, and slowly, like a training, I start to empower myself in a different way. So that's why also taking the time once a week, going in the assembly, listening, it's not only like an opportunity to practically do something and maybe it's boring or maybe it's not interesting, but it's also like a gym. Maybe also when you get bored. This is self-evident also from the point of view of the childhood. The boring moment are the moment in which you start to see what is invisible. Also the boring time are important. But keeping in mind that we have to train ourselves in order to imagine an alternative, because we have to dismantle the normativity. Sorry, I speak a lot. Maybe we can stop and maybe we can open a bit of Q&A, or maybe if somebody needs a translation.
Ja se nadam da bi me neko prekinuo, mislim, zapisao sam sve što je rekao. Većinu stvari, odnosno glavne dobre 4 strane, ali dosta je više pričano, pa ako imate pitanja, kome treba pomoći.
I take a water. Can I take a bottle of water?
Yes, I'm
maybe we
thinking
could
the same.
do a 5-minute break and then come back with what you...
Hoćete 5-minutnu pauzu pa da se vratimo na Q&A, na pitanje odgovora. Okay. So Emanuele, what do you think about making a 5-minute break and then proceeding?
Why not?
I have a question. I was interested in, because I can actually connect to the strategy and development of your ideas, how you went through the fights, but also become also that actually.
Sorry, I can hear you. Maybe we can pass the mic.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your experience throughout your artistic career. In particular, what I was interested in is when you said that you do have a fight to win, but you also need to have a way to actually succeed into like whatever the political state is, to actually find a way and find ways to actually progress. How did you manage to how did you connect throughout these workshops, various things that you had with other colleagues? Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe I can use this one? Yeah. But first of all, I stop here, but it's half of the story. And probably in the examples that I am going to explain you, especially this afternoon, but also now we can start to understand how, because this moment, till this moment, I told you more about this disconnected, precarious, fragmented, body, that how, in my experience, started to be an active political subject. Okay. After this, we started to fight, and after fighting, we started to organize. And so, going on in the next hour and in the afternoon, maybe you can find some answer, or we can discuss concretely. Otherwise, I would anticipate now. But yeah. Well, not big result, but. But anyway.
Was this in Macau or this?
No, this was before. So.
Maybe because you mentioned this body as in the practice, developing different kind of practices from the body. So I remember this time we had a collective called Rotor.
Sorry, maybe you need because.
But we are not recording.
No, but in the last line, maybe they didn't listen.
There is no.
We are recording.
Because this was the part of the same movement we were talking, like this end of the 90s, the beginning of 2000s. So in Barcelona, where I was living at the time, there was lots of like activist movements, lots of different things, and we had a small collective called Rotor, and we organized. There was this like a big urbanistic changes at the time in a huge part of the city, and we organized adventure suits, inviting people, and actually this was like a playground for, like getting the experiences together and learning, and it was really coming from the body, what you were saying, and this was going on for I don't know, like in continuous, like together with all these assemblies that were happening in the time with different, very, very different movements, like collectives, like activists, like I don't know, like immigrants, squatters, syndicates, and so on. And also there was a initiative at the time, the Universidad Pirata, the pirate university, like where also like different classes, very well organized, so it worked at the time. So also like me and my friend, we were doing this physical culture classes, so there was like different stuff. But I think it's important, just like developing different practices, like
just
like
to answer to for me it was important to share with you also in this room. I can see that we are maybe different ages, no? And for example, concerning this feeling that Vaida was witnessing, that moment, the 90s until 2010, has been a very sparkling moment. Again, also because we were, in a way, the first generation dealing with this shift of paradigm in the labor market. And so, for us, was a very tiny, again, threshold in between feeling that this DIY, this accessibility to the digital tools, this capability to do cinema without films, it's not secondary. That knowing that with maybe a Pentium computer and a camera like this, we were able to do film. And so TV Street. All this perception that everything was lo-fi, accessible, and a toolkit in order to assemble an independent, autonomous environment alternative to the one that our parents knew and also have been exploited and so on. It was a sort of opportunity as feeling, but in the same time we were not understanding, especially in the first years, that the corporate, the industrial sectors, especially from US and Silicon Valley after a while, were exactly moving in organizing this new social body exactly because of this turn. Not like
this was the result of
like
this is the petit bourgeois that came out as a result of the destruction of the working class.
Yeah, in the
and
80s.
Privatization. So this is the result of privatization. And now we have to invent again a commoning since we helped the privatization.
Yeah, but we understood this in 2010, and was not so easy to understand how much the same tools are the one to use in order to resist to this reorganization of the capital, or how much these tools are too much fucked up in order to be used for assembling for a new assemblage, no? And this was the problem. But sorry, I have to speed up. If there are no more questions,
maybe we should make a 5-minute.
We have to end up at 12 for the first session.
1, I think.
1?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have time. Sorry. So, I'll try to do my best, but this morning session was supposed to be more about political theory, and so because I had many conversations, more practical, I'm sorry, but I will go on more maybe on this level of concept, and be patient. Maybe when this session is end, we can maybe start to go through project schemes, self-organizational models, and this kind of topic. So, just to end, I would like to introduce you all the two concepts that I have here on my list, that for me are useful also to understand maybe the practical landing behind the projects that I will screen. Coming back in the situation of these assemblies around 2010 of art workers, the idea in a certain moment was also how we can conceive the exploitation we are in. Because this paradigm, this anthropological paradigm that was changing also the way the big financial monopoly was extracting value from our production and our way of life. Usually there is like a very simple scheme that could refer to the Keynes model, in which there is the market that has to create through wages the power of buying. The power of buying is also useful in order to turn you in a consumer, feeding the market. If somebody is unbalanced in this ideal circle, the state has to negotiate this imbalance, providing a welfare policy. Okay? And so there was the state regulating your rights in order to let the market do profit and turning you in consumers, but not letting too much the market exploiting you, otherwise everything goes is fucked, and so the state has to provide you pensions, health system, education, labor rights, negotiating with the trade unions, controlling a bit the market, and providing to you services that let you survive or live, instead of aside your power of buying as a private property owner and money owner. Okay, this not for me, for many readers in political theory, this circle blasted. Okay, and this blasting is behind also the paradigm turn we were living in that moment. Okay, and why blasted? Because a new actor entered in regulating the market. That was the financial market. This was one take we discussed it. Remember, this discussion was just after the financial crisis of 2008, in which this actor, the financial actor, was like creating a first big crisis, also in order to foster this paradigm shift. And what happened with the new actor of the financial market? That, first of all, after the Bretton Woods, the national capability to issue money were no more connected with the gold reserves, but was directly connected with the capability of the financial market to create assets and derivatives. Okay, so the value embedded in the economical space of the financial market was no more connected with gold reserves and the real economy. And so the financial market was able to manage the creation and the issuing of value, not depending on labor market and the so-called real economy, and neither to the reserves in gold, very like this heritage of fetishism of a material, a rare material to be linked. And for this reason also the financial market started to control the state through debts. The reason why in that moment all the public theater and the museum were on sale was because the financial market was asking to the states to pay back a debt, and the value of this debt was ranked by the financial market, no other authorities. Okay. Also, the central banks were like not governed by a coalition of states, but an hybrid in between a coalition of banks, private entity, and an interface with the states. And so everything has been like controlled by a new actor that was not the one of Keynes.
Yeah, but you're talking a very big period of time. Bretton Woods was finished in the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah.
From the 70s till the basically till the crisis, they basically dismantled. They were living on privatization and destruction of the working class and privatization of the factories.
Yeah.
The reason that in 2010 suddenly the artists realized what was happening for the last 40 years is that it finally came to the petit bourgeois, finally came to them. But they were, for 40 years, they refused to stand by the workers while they were getting hammered.
No. This last Keynes is even before. So is now I am zooming out, watching what was going on in the 19th century and how this transition of the paradigm, of course, started from the fights and the end of an era in the late 70s and then the 80s, and then slowly the preparation for the 90s and the 2000s of the first results of this shift. And these results, I think, started to be perceived in that 90s, 2000, and the crisis of the 2007 and 8 has been responded by this kind of activation, because there was already a lot of experience and thoughts about what was the landing of the transition in between Fordism and so-called post-Fordism, and also how again starting from the 70s and the 80s with the School of Chicago and so on, how this neoliberalism was landing, no? Because of course something was ending in the 70s, something was starting as a new economical think tank and school. Some very important bricks has been established in the 70s, and then slowly they and then in the end of the 80s, concerning also the Cold War, also the falling of the Soviet Union and the Berlin Wall was also in this shift, and so it's a slow turn, super big, and that's why it's not possible to envision or have a look of this transition in 1 year. It's for sure a 20, 30, 40 year process. But just to say that the last two concepts are, on one side, that forgive me if I go very quick, but we started to use, we were discussing this also in Belgrade when I arrived, that in a way behind our political community in San Precario and this movement defending the precarious workers, some thinkers started to invent this concept of biocapitalism, okay? And this was embedded in what we were perceiving as workers. For example, the idea in the art field that you are paid only for few hours when you really in the end present something, but you have to work for this maybe 3 months not paid. The idea that you are precarious and so always available, okay? The idea, meantime, in the digital turn, that you are producing content even if you are not paid, and you are addicted to this attention every day, 24 hours a day. Started to all of this dynamic that are very like also in the micropolitics, in your body sphere, in your availability, in producing not in a space, in a working space, but everywhere. When you before to sleep in your bed, checking the last email, and then the day after find a way in a park or in a coffee bar to fix a presentation or to this, and then this availability in which it's guilty, as if you miss something in the infosphere, also in the physical spaces, if you are not present in your city in the vernissage in which everyone has to be, no? All this anthropological shift was and is training again our body in a different mode, in a different mode of production. And so from the literature in that years started to land some concept like attention economy, reputational economy, no? All that in a way started to define the way you are producing, and the effect was that the ones that are making money on your life, not on your work. Okay? And so that's why we were thinking about this biocapitalism. The reorganization of the capital is watching at your life, not on your work. Okay? And also the financialization of society is working on your life, not on your work. And this was also in our debate, like convergent with what the feminist perspective always said. For example, referring to Federici, or also in the general debate, but also in the local debate in Italy within the feminist group. Of course, the feminists always said, watch out, that the capitalism is not extracting value only on the factory line. It's extracting value also on the invisible labor, not recognized labor that we are doing as housekeeper, as the social image of the female taking care of the family, no? All the so-called reproduction labor is unpaid, invisible, not recognized, without any rights for science ever. And capitalism didn't extract value only on the surplus value of the production of goods, but also, and even more, because we are speaking about half of a society, no? With an even smarter strategy, extracting value from our lives. And so, from the feminist perspective, there was a big convergence on this concept of biocapitalism, because they were saying to the other one, welcome, welcome. Now we are on the same page, okay? For this reason, for example, we started to use another concept after the Euromay period, that maybe all this convergence of different movements, like the workers' rights, the feminist and transfeminist, the eco-activism, because also in front of the reproduction labor of the non-human through extractivism, no? The capitalism is extracting value on top of a non-recognized and so not paid labor of non-human. We should invest in recognizing this labor of what the nature is already doing in order to preserve our landscape, instead of planting monoculture for extractivism or dismantling mountain for the lithium extraction, not recognizing what the ecosystem is already doing, no? And so investing money in order to work within, no, the nature, instead of having this colonial approach to nature and extractivist, not recognizing even that a lot of work by the non-human is already there, no? We are simply destroying, not understanding also what's the backlash in terms of losses. And so, for me, it's important to you to share that we started to, in theory, we started to speak this language in which probably we have to conceive, we called social strike, so, no, to stop, to reproduce a society that it is exploited as society, as social fabric, no, than the single working position or so we started to speak this language. Biocapitalism, capitalism extracting value on our way of living, and a convergence in between movements from feminist to eco-activism to worker rights that want to stop the way capitalism is extracting value from 24 hours to our bodies. And for this reason also, and this is also from, again, also not only, but again, from my point of view also, from Negri Art, Paolo Vercellone, Andrea Fumagalli in Italy, and so on. economically speaking, we started to fight for a universal basic income. Because if capitalism is extracting value directly 24 hours from our lives, no? Maybe a possible convergence as political space of this post-work society is to demand a basic income in which the state should reclaim value from the financial system, from big corporations and so on that are really extracting, in order to let the people live, because you are extracting value from my life. Okay, this was more or less the discussion. Sorry, I go quick, but every dot I know should be like a month of symposium and debate and conversation. But I don't really want to debate with you about all these issues because, but I'm sharing with you this political framework. Just take away what you want, but just to let you know where I am situated. Okay?
Can I ask you one question, which is not digression? So you took just one question about, you're talking about the political space and alongside of all these 30, 40 years that are happening. I'm just wondering, what's the national state of like people who live in Italy? What was the buyer's market? Did you have that alongside? Like, did you have a market for buying artwork? The nation was actually buying art through these 30, 40 years that you're talking about.
I mean, there is not a unique market for buy art, of course.
Not individuals, people.
As far as I perceive, compared to the past, the selling of artworks is a market more and more a luxury market in between big collectors and practically inexistent for a popular production in the art field. I'm not speaking about artisans and arty artisans for tourists and so on. But in the art field, who is selling art to collectors is a very few and restricted bunch of person, and I have to say the fork in between this elite and the public art programs delivered by museum, biennale, the art academies and so on is huge, more and more huge. That's why, also because basically we had during the same period a big transformation also of the art production, because as far as I saw when I was young, there was all this turn in relational art, land art, and then we had the digital turn with the media art and digital art, and then we started to do community-based projects, and then everything became very interdisciplinary. Also design does art if they don't work for the object industries, and all this diversification, and then the rising of the figure of the curator that was not there, that started to do like the real move of the operation, in which the artists are not so important, they just have to feed up my idea. And so just to say that what was interesting was not so much sellable from a certain point on. And so all the public programs, the big exhibition, started to understand this, and also in the programs a lot of now if you go in a big exhibition in the main place, maybe in order to be strong in quality speaking, you have to maybe involve a community-based project on decoloniality, or that are not sellable. And for me it's good, no, but just to say that this is a reason, I think, why these collectors that need and are complaining of this turn, because they have nothing to store in their ultra luxury black market, again, in which the artwork is an excuse. And the gallery is an undercover way to storage money in the black market, but there's a lot of money, and is detached not only from the society but also from the official trend of the big institution art programs. Because anyway, who grew up in terms of curatorship, directors in these last 3 decades understood that what was interesting was not the canvas. And so in order to be on the point, to stay on the quality, no, of the contemporary discourse, everything turned in something not so much sellable. So what is happening within the social bloc, within artists? What I see is that they apply for grants because there's no market. They have to be supported.
But this is also a market.
Yeah, but there's no market in the real economy concept to sell and buy and show my artwork as an object. So they apply for projects that gives money, mainly from banks, foundation, just to understand where the money comes from, and because it's important to keep alive the art production that is no more strictly collectible. And I have to say, most of them are also like me, searching shelter in the academics, because it's the closer space in which you can keep on doing more or less your identity, because in the art production we started, I started maybe 20 years ago practically to be also a writer and to write on this, and or to base art project on inquiry and research. And so if I have a program in academic that is more or less overlapping with this and build half of my income, I go in academic. And I'm doing both. So what I am seeing is that mainly there's no real market. In performing art, you sell your performance, produced by festival or theaters. I mean, I said grant an application, but 1/3 of for example, my production is commissioned by museum. That again, they don't buy anything in terms of artwork. They produce the exhibition. Also because basically I don't sell. I don't sell artworks.
What do you mean, you as a person, or you don't think
In general, I don't sell artworks personally, but in general, also when I do an exhibition in a big museum, also sometimes as a curator, so involving other artists, I have a touch how much in the end of the exhibition the director of the museum is interested in buy some artworks to keep them in the collection, and is very rare. Maybe sometimes, and it's not the real game. Huh?
I could also suspect it could be corrupted, those kind of versions.
Sorry,
I'm sorry, I just said that I suspect that it could also be corrupted in a sense, because it's very rare.
Yeah. No, I saw also investing, for example, in young, because are very cheap, and maybe they, so maybe there's something of a young artist that has a sculpture or an object or a video, you can propose like €500 to keep it in the collection, because it's just out from a good school, they are starting good, and it's not so much an effort, but also for the young artist it's not the way to live. Okay, so we have half an hour. I think I'm done. I'm done with this part regarding the concept. I spoke about commons, co-research, inquiry, co-research, creative assembly in order to listen the actual situation, situated in the point of view of the worker / in fight. Bertheis, the initiator of Isolar Center, because it was bored by this new wave in contemporary art of site-specific, because everyone was doing site-specific things. He proposed us in the early 2000s, we have to start to fight specific. We do our project only fight specific. And social strike, this topic on extraction of value on life, commoning, co-research, social strike, and universal basic income. So all this boring speech only to arrive here. Now, from now on and in the afternoon, I would like to present to you some practical experimentation within organization born within this political process.
I would like to ask a question about it.
Yeah, one moment. That are Macau, that was born from Art Workers Milano, and all the experimentation we did in terms of alternative economy, solidarity, governance, and working with crypto and other projects around the world, experimenting in alternative economic space of mutual aid and solidarity within the art sector, and then some projects of the Institute of Radical Imagination, that is the institute we funded in 2017, that is a coalition of art and activists and academics in south of Europe, and is one of the collective I'm working, I'm producing, with whom I'm producing more projects, also in big institutions, regarding the artist rights. This is the program. I would like to stop here. We have two options. One is the NOAA proposal to open in this last 20 minutes a Q&A on this session, and then we go to lunch. Or if there is no question, we go to lunch. Or if there is no question, I could also start with the next, because be prepared, the next session is more crowded than the first. It was supposed to be the very first dish. Q&A, because there are questions. Somebody can go around with this mic, because I don't, otherwise I have to.
Of course. Any questions?
I have questions.
Like suicide. So much.
I just wanted to ask, in this new idea of, it's not so new anymore, but the social strike or social or attack on life, you collapse totally the difference between production and reproduction. It's a question.
I mean, in my opinion, this convergency opened up a very important frame that was not in the keeping a point of view only from the production or only from the reproduction. So encompass both and empower the political space with a convergent vision that is an added value, but I don't think that has to erase, cancel the difference in between production and reproduction.
So how do you explain the dialectic?
That that again, in order to fight within and against, we have to understand concretely that there is a biodiversity of tactics of exploitation, and so there is a proprium, there is a specificity, no? When a worker with a non-correct contract exploited, paid €2 per hour, comes to a trade unions, and we have to win an increasing of the wage. But this is not compatible with the demand of a universal basic income. A critique by the traditional trade unions left to the UBI, Universal Basic Income, is that is a measure to weaken the trade union individual negotiation. But our position has always been we have to do both. Okay, as well as the domestic work or the care work and or eco-activism in discussing if we have to destroy Serbia for the electric cars. No. And I don't know if I answered. So for me, the proposition is that there are specificity at different cases that can converge in a general language that is more powerful in order to understand what is going on, but they have not to be cancelled as a biodiversity of the possible fights specific.
And the second question I wanted to ask is about UBI. Can UBI be UBI if it's not global?
Of course not, but again, it's a process if it will be, and so we worked. I can maybe explain about this project later. We worked with national-based artist organization fighting for UBI. So not for all the world, but even not for all society, only for artists. And again, for us it was interesting to listen and how working for your category you can be a pilot for scaling up, could be a tactic. No, so we didn't refuse ideologically. No, you are doing the wrong. We have to again cancel every difference in order to unify a unique front, and you, for the moment, you are in the wrong position, and so on. No, also the attitude or the tactic, call as you want, is bottom up. No, and so all the possible subjects that can be an open door in order to build up a more collective front are useful. and so yes, the UBI can be white, can be a way to show up from Europe or from US how Silicon Valley can provide a welfare for everyone, showing the power of our privilege as a Western. Watch out, the UBI is also discussed in the private sector and in the corporative sector exactly for this. But this doesn't mean that we have a different vision, no? So I always had panel discussion and debate in which on this point I think we have to be the alternative to this attempt or this logic or this culture. That's all. There are also projects that launched the UBI globally. Again, the problem is that without a global governance or without a global confederation or a global COP,
no, the problem is
it's
what
difficult.
The trade union movement was this partializations into national. As we talked yesterday, capital globalized, but trade union didn't. There's still a national-based organization. And if we now partialize UBI to fighting for UBI in Italy or fighting for UBI in Kenya and everything, then it will go the same way as the trade union.
In my opinion, there are examples of this attempt, not only in the labor market but also in ecology. So to understand this global condition under capital, under the climate breakdown, there are several tendencies in which, for the first time, the global population is unified in terms of because in the 90s started the globalization, and so the globalization of capitalism is not something so old outside the strictly form of colonial imperialism. The climate breakdown is a common condition global-wide. For the first time we have this feeling to have a common problem that doesn't matter if you are white, black, yellow, or it kicks everyone, and that's all, in different modes and with different privilege, but anyway it's so I agree that also the forms of resistance and the political front is going more and more global for
obvious reasons.
For the dynamic, for the trend. But in my opinion, the attempts that I am seeing now to give to this global front an organization, a form of organization, is maybe too early, because I saw attempts and they are still weak. So in my personal thoughts, I think this is the trend, but it's too young. We are in the very beginning of the process.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting also to follow now, like how the situation in the world on a global. Is that on?
No. There is one mic.
Is so like the global situation is so rapidly changing. You know, with the AI development of artificial intelligence, like this war we had, the struggle for the dominance of the, you know, like the narrative of the truth, to like media, like lots of this also goes to the cultural sphere, like the domination of the language, terminology, like how we are speaking and so on. And on the other side, we have already, I don't know, like now we are understanding just that, like these like structures that had to secure, like, or were meant to secure some global, I don't know, like order, or to take care of the way where the development of the world is going on, like time ago, like are not functioning really in a, I don't know, speaking about UN, UNESCO, or, you know, like it's becoming so obvious, you know. Like, so, and it's of course also reflects to our like sphere of where we are working and speaking of. Just a comment.
There is a question specific? No.
No, not really. I'm just thinking like that we really have to. I'm not sure what you were saying. You know, when we, for example, started to introduce, to take this structure of the Association of Fine Artists, which existed for already 100 years, and it was not working. You know, it was quite like inactive, inefficient, and so on. And we thought, okay, let's try to take this and make it functional, you know, like see, because it's kind of institution, it's not institution formally, but it had some, you know, like heritage, trajectory, membership, connections, like a place from where something could be negotiated, like addressed and so on. And kind of what you were saying, like to be like to struggle from within the system, no? Like to, I don't know. It's just we realized it's also very and in this negotiation, especially first 2 years, we like really made like lots of work, and there was a lot of working groups working on, I don't know, like social aspects of work, like community taxations, I don't know, like artistic spaces, or like, I don't know, lots of different things, like archiving, so, and like so there was a lot of different demands were put in front of the Ministry of Culture, the government, the different, you know, like to, let's try to make a pressure and negotiate and so on, and we just, what we got was just a wall, like no response, no, you know, so, I mean, this project is also a result of this struggle, as this frustration to understand that this way is no, like to, was not an option to address the public institutions, to get more, you know, like from to understand that Serbia as a country on a periphery capitalism simply can't or is not willing to direct more public funds or more better like to improve the laws for this cultural sector. That is maybe, I don't know, like however we push, and this would be just a small, you know, like is not able to develop, deliver different cultural policies. And so that we need really like different strategies and to like make a different alliances and to think in different, completely shift our way of thinking, how we like unionize or how we work together.
Yeah. But there's someone else?
Well, is it okay to ask some very...
Take the mic, please.
Yeah. The more basically.
Yeah, okay, I'm just a simple artist, so I mostly follow, but I don't understand financial market. If it's not based on gold, what is it based on? What is marketing? Can you just state shortly? There are some young people.
It's based on debt.
Debt. Or debt.
It was not so basic. Actually. No, I try to react on both. I mean, I don't want to go to geopolitics, otherwise it's too much complicated. Concerning ULUS and how to be useful as an organization within the art. I saw many. I don't know. I saw many different organizations and attempts. For example, in Italy, in the same period, I knew organization that tried to negotiate specific policies more locally. For example, determining the ranking system of some grants in the public domain and in the private domain, in order to socialize more the wealth and to open up or to rewrite the criteria in order to assign money and so on. This was done also by an organization in which I contributed personally more than once because I was invited, that in Italy is called Art Forum, Italian Art Forum. That was a yearly program in which many artists and organization collectors were discussing about the situation in the arts, and they started to do a negotiation with the central government in order to, again, to write better the policy in order to, because the cultural ministry in Italy years ago was still considering again the category in the arts from the fascist period, and so this organization did all this work in order to understand how to interface granting these different forms of cultural production that are not based on writing music or an opera or a number of canvas. And so from that moment, on the base of the work of il Forum d'Arte Contemporanea, the Italian Council changed the calls. And now you can be granted also only for research, also as curator, and blah blah blah. So there's organization in Italy that did this this work. And then also recently, just to share with the others, but I know that you are already in contact, we had also this second generation of art workers. They reopened an organization a few years ago with an English title, Art Workers Italia, AUI, and also they, in forms of assembly, they started a process also mapping internationally all the advancement in order to have a better condition for the artist, and so opening a national discussion more in dialogue with better situation in other places, and they did an inquiry in order to understand the status of art in Italy nowadays, and so on and so forth. And then we had also another organization that maybe you don't know, but maybe we spoke with ULUS in the last years, this Smart Italy, that provided this structure in order to organize the because most of the artists in Italy are freelancer, and so you have the problem to work the double as also manager of yourself, and so one attempt has been also to create an organization that was able, with a very slow fee, to do this work instead of you, being hired by the organization, and so the organization was in charge of all your invoicing, whatever, and paying the contribution to the tax system, and so on, and worked a bit. So there didn't went massive, but anyway, had a function. I don't know, I could go on this example, but yeah, there are. And no, what is the financial market? What is the financial market? The financial market is basically an economic space in which very basic thing. All the big company are not owned by members, but are owned by the shareholders. So the one that buy little pieces of your company, and the sum of all this share are the economical capital of the company. The one that drive the company usually wanna keep part of this share in order to being able to drive the company, but a lot of these shares are socialized. Everyone can buy and everyone can sell. Having a asset in the financial market is something that everyone can do. Is in practical term, there's many individuals also that started to store or to invest money in the shares of some company in the financial market, but mainly these shares are managed not by individual but by companies and financial actor, that the so-called hedge fund, that simply buy and sell assets in the financial market, because practically speaking, when the shares in one company start to be sold massively, the value of the share fall. Okay? And when everybody wanna buy your share, the single value of the share increase because there is a scarcity of share compared to the demand. So compared to the real economy, the one aspect of the financial market is that the value of your company is not based on how much you sell products or how do you promote yourself and so on, but by the demand and the selling of share of your company in the financial market. So I can be very rich because everyone wanna buy my shares, because my shares maybe in the moment one as one value one, but if half of the world want my share, the single share start to fluctuate, and maybe after a while the unit is no more 1 but it's 100, and so in one shot my social capital in the company, instead of 1,000 euro, is 100,000. And not because I said maybe I have a company that is producing glass, plastic glass, but not because I'm selling more glass for a better price, but because I had a good performance in financial market. Second concept useful to understand the financial market, the concept of derivatives. The derivatives are again asset with a value that evaluate the risk of your company, and so it's like a meta asset, no? An asset created on top of a real one, a normal one. The derivatives let you gain money proportionally to the performance of the first asset, because it's an insurance on the risk of the first. If you watch, you can type on internet, if you watch the quantity of value that is stored in derivatives than the normal asset in the financial market, is time and time more the economic space of the derivatives. So one characteristic of the financial market is that is exponentially not linked to the real economy, not only for the first level, but for many levels on top. Because if in the first level you can gain from 10 to 100 in one shot, because many are investing and is detached by the real economy, the derivatives is, instead of 100, is 10,000. So the space in between the real economy and the game in financial market became huge, but with no, there's no the measure is totally in another scale. Also the states has debt as share, the BTP, because they are betting in the financial market the state as an asset. Okay, Serbia, the debt of Serbia to banks, sometimes, most of the time, is in form of asset in the financial market. Also, you can buy asset of Serbia debt as individual, and is a quite stable asset of investment. You don't risk so much because the states is very difficult that a state goes in bailout, like Greece was risking years ago. So for a single investor, the share of a state asset is a good, stable investment. You don't risk so much. But this means that the state is on the financial market for his own debt. If and who judge this asset? The ranking system of private entity in the financial market. The ranking of your debt is decided by private entity in Wall Street. And if you don't cut the pension in Serbia, in Wall Street there is a company that judge your debt more risky, and so the asset start to fall down as value because it's not fixed. It depends on the neoliberal policy that your government, doesn't matter if it's left, right, they have to do to society. That's why before I said that the financial market is extracting value from the state, cutting the welfare system on our life. Is it clear, or is it too much complicated?
It's complicated, but you explain it.
It's clear.
But it's all based on the fact that when the problem was with the gold standard was that the states didn't have enough liquidity, especially with the energy crisis in the 70s. And then the United States basically went off the gold standard. That meant that now they were free to print money as much as they wanted. Mm-hmm. And even this, what we call money, this paper or coin, now they started being a commodity, not a representative of a commodity, but a commodity itself.
So it's all a private decision about risk.
Yeah.
And
it's correct.
So, and the country of Serbia has its shares in other companies.
No.
Or has its own shares?
For the financial market, Serbia is a company.
Serbia is a company
with a share.
Okay, they're part.
And the last concept that maybe is useful to know is that not from the beginning, but in the last years, especially after 2015 as a period, the way to operate in the financial market is more and more on high frequency. It is called high frequency trading. This means that is not, as you saw in many films, these brokers watching to the TV and answering to the phone, invest, no, don't invest. It's no more like that. It's an algorithm that in high frequency, so with moves hundreds a second, they choose where to invest. So the hedge fund, who owns the share, has agency that manage your fund in order to have a good performance. that follow in high frequency what is better to invest in. Because when an asset goes down because everyone is selling, are no more a lot of brokers selling, but are a lot of algorithms automated that knowing that there is a falling, they all goes there with a protocol coded by physicians, mathematicians, in order to have the best performance, in order to follow the dynamic and understand how to perform better your portfolio, your wallet of shares. Because the shares behave depending on who is buying, and the value is fluctuating, and it's better to buy or to sell in high frequency. And the only one that can operate in high frequency is not a broker, is an algorithm, are programs. So that's why also a lot of theorists started to comment how much this financial space is getting abstract more and more. And the way to drive it is getting more and more abstract. This is another comment that is also tens of symposium and discussion papers, so we don't want to discuss. But there is also this aspect that is rising and is as a weight more and more. Stop.